Hello, listeners. Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull Podcast. I am Esther, and Ruth is not feeling well today, so it is just little old me. First up, our sponsor. Our sponsor is Southwest Pain Management. Southwest Pain Management takes care of most chronic pain without pain pills. Their goal is to get you back to doing the things you love. They are also the world's leading long COVID experts. Dr. Groisman sees people from all over the world to treat their long COVID. Southwest Pain Management is in Plano. Please go to their website, reliefbeginshere.com. That's reliefbeginshere.com to see all that they do. So first up, we have some tragic news for you all. The federal government, has been shut down for 19 days. Yes, I know. It's just tragic. What will we ever do? How will we ever go on? Of course, I am being facetious. Because for most people, a federal government shutdown will not affect you at all. And if the news did not tell us that there was a shutdown happening, most of us would not even notice. Now, obviously, if you were planning on going to a national park or a Smithsonian museum, then you would care because those things are most likely closed. In case you were wondering why the federal government was shut down, I'm going to fill you in. So just like our very own Plano City Council, the federal government's year starts on October 1st of every single year. And just like our city, the federal government is supposed to pass a budget. And that budget is supposed to be passed by September 30th. And this is supposed to fund the government for the fiscal year. So, just one small little problem. The federal government has not passed a budget since 2019. Since then, the Congress has passed continuing resolution after continuing resolution to fund the government. So what is a continuing resolution, you may wonder? That is supposed to be a temporary spending bill to fund the government. Temporary being the key word in that sentence. Until a budget is supposed to be passed. Given that Congress has not passed a budget, the House of Representatives passed another continuing resolution this fiscal year. In September, it went to the Senate for approval. Now, in the Senate is a little bit unique in that they cannot get something done by a simple majority. This is how you know we are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic, because if you just needed a simple majority to pass a continuing resolution or to pass anything, then this would have been very simple. All the Republicans would have voted yes, except for Rand Paul, and we would have had our continuing resolution. But the Senate requires 60 yes votes to bring any bill to the floor. Once it's on the floor, then it just takes a simple majority to pass or fail it. This 60 vote threshold is what is needed to stop what is called a filibuster, and it is designed so that the majority does not constantly control the minority. The minority has a voice. Now, we don't have 60 votes. We need 5 Democrats to vote yes. So far, only 2 Democrats have voted yes on this continuing resolution. They are Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania and Senator Catherine Masto of Nevada. Sorry, not. I believe it's Nevada. All the others voted no to bring it to the floor. Now, Senator Rand Paul, who is a Republican, he also voted no, but he votes no for most spending bills, so this is nothing new for him. So him and John Fetterman, they're the only senators who are not hypocrites in this situation. Democrats have been on video saying how we should never shut the government down. And lo and behold, here we are, shutting the government down. Now, Rand Paul, he voted no. He usually votes no on spending bills because he doesn't want any more debt. He's very consistent in this. And the continuing resolution will add about $2 trillion of new debt on top of the already trillions of dollars in debt we have. So he is a no vote. He will probably be a no vote if we ever get this thing passed at all. The Senate Democrats, they have their own proposed continuing resolution. Now, I must tell you that their continuing resolution would add $3 trillion in new debt. So another trillion on top of what the Republicans want. Interestingly, the Democrats have voted for this same continuing resolution 11 other times in the past. The only difference is that Donald Trump was not in the White House. President Biden was in the White House. So the only difference between that CR, which they passed under Biden, and this CR is basically who's president. So the House, they passed a CR that was exactly the same as all those other times. So what, other than the fact that there is a new president in the White House, what else is different about this time? What is it the Democrats want now? Well, if you listen to the Republicans say that the Democrats want to add illegal immigrants back onto Medicaid. And that is why they are holding things up. However, the Democrats say, no, we don't want to add illegals back onto Medicaid. No, that's not why we're doing this. So, who's lying? Well, in order to figure out who's lying, you actually have to go and read their continuing resolution, which I did. And right under subtitle E, on page 57, it says, repeal of health subtitle changes. So it says subtitle B of Title 7 of the Act, titled an Act to provide for reconciliation pursuant to Title 2 of H, Continuing Resolution number 14, Public Law 119-21 is repealed, and any law or regulation referred to in such subtitle shall be applied as if subtitle and the amendments made by such subtitle had not been enacted. So what does all that gobbledygook mean? Well, in order to understand that, you actually have to go to the bill they are referring to in this. Because what they're saying is that in a bill, we want to cross out subtitle B and this certain provision. Well, what are they talking about? What bill are they referring to? They are referring to the big, beautiful bill. And in the big, beautiful bill, they are referring to Section 71109, which says the section generally restricts, beginning in fiscal year 2027, federal payment of Medicaid and CHIP services for individuals who are U.S. residents and are either U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, Cuban, Haitian entrants, or Compact of Free Association migrants lawfully residing in the United States. The restrictions do not apply to certain mandatory emergency services provided to individuals who are not lawfully residing in the United States or to oppositional services provided to certain lawfully residing children and pregnant women. So what does that all mean? Basically, that means that only people who are here legally can get Medicaid. That's what that means. Okay? Apparently under Biden, he changed some stuff and illegals were getting Medicaid. So this bill, the One Beautiful Bill Act, took that away, also known as H.R. 1 in the 119th Congress, if you want to go look it up. So, the lawmakers basically undid what Biden did and made it illegal again for people who are not here lawfully to be on Medicaid. In the Democrats' continuing resolution, they are repealing that. They're also repealing a bunch of other stuff that was in that section. For example, money for rural hospitals. They're taking that away. It was a whole long section, and according to their own continuing resolution, that whole section they want gone. So even money for rural hospitals, which would greatly affect us here in Texas, because we have a lot of rural areas in Texas, and rural hospitals desperately need those funds. They rely on those funds. But apparently, I guess the Democrats don't really care about rural hospitals because they want to take that money that was set aside for them away. So the Democrats are clearly lying to us. It's not even arguable, because if you just go and read for yourself their own continuing resolution and then go read what they want to take away, because they never clearly state and repeat what they want to take away. They make you go look it up in another bill. You can see for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go do your own homework. So they are clearly lying, which is no surprise because politicians lie. And it's so easy to catch them in the lie. But this is why you must go read these things for yourself. You know, my father used to say, when it comes to money, never trust anyone. He also said, question everything. Something that Thomas Jefferson used to say as well. Question everything with boldness, even the very existence of God, Thomas Jefferson once wrote to his nephew. So, please, go read it for yourself. Now, of course, that they've been sort of caught in this, they pivoted a little bit because it was easy to find it. So they kind of got caught in that. So now they're pivoting and they say, well, we want to extend the Obamacare subsidies that we gave during COVID. But the only problem is that those are going to expire in December, not now. So it would have made more sense if they were set to expire October 1st, but they didn't. They're going to expire in December, and what the Democrats want to do, according to their own bill, is they want to extend those subsidies not just to the people who already have the subsidies, but basically to everyone. Right now, you only get subsidies if you are 400% over the poverty line, if you are family. They want to cross out the 400% and make it everybody. So everybody, no matter if you're Bill Gates or the poorest person in the United States, gets a subsidy for Obamacare. That's ridiculous. A millionaire doesn't need a subsidy for his health insurance. So, please don't panic. We're going to be okay. Only the non-essential items or departments are closed, which begs the question, if they're non-essential, why do we have them? So we may have to look into, well, if they're really not essential, then maybe we shouldn't have them. So the next thing I wanted to go over was the Trump peace agreement that he made with Hamas and Israel. And when I was planning this episode, that's what I wanted to talk about. And I was going to go over the 20-point plan. I was going to give you the highlights. However, it was reported, the day I'm recording this, that Hamas has already broken the peace agreement. So, 20-point plan pretty much out the window. I'm not shocked that Hamas has broken the agreement. It doesn't surprise me. I think the only thing I'm surprised at is that the agreement didn't even get past the first item, which was freeing the hostages. They did free all of the living hostages, so they did do that. They have not turned over the bodies of all of the dead hostages that they still had, because they claim that they don't know where all of them are buried. So they haven't been able to do that yet, but that's not what they broke. They actually fired on Israel, and so Israel, of course, fired back. So Not surprising. Like I said, the only thing that's surprising is that they really only were pretty much at peace for about a week, maybe. Not even. Of course, they started going after their own people. Hamas killed about 40 of its own Gazian Palestinian people. Again, not shocking. Hamas is a terrible, evil organization. We can pretty much all agree on that. They are the evil incarnate on this earth. They are horrible, horrible human beings, and I am very surprised that they turned over any living hostages. So, what do I talk about? Because obviously the Trump 20-point plan is now pretty much mute. So I thought I would talk about the No Kings rally a little bit that had gone on in Plano. Because I know everyone's going to have a No Kings rally throughout the United States. Some were very large. In Times Square, there was a massive protest. In Plano, we had an itty-bitty one. It was very pitiful, which I was happy to see, because having a protest saying that Trump is a king is an oxymoron. If we had a king, the government wouldn't be shut down. If we had a king, they wouldn't be able to protest that they don't want a king. So it's silly on its face. It defeats logic. We have No King's Day once a year in America. It's called Independence Day. It happens July 4th. Now, like I said, if Trump were actually a king, if we were actually even a democracy, the government wouldn't be shut down. But it is. So then clearly, he's not a king. So, we had a few nutty people out there, but luckily, it was basically a trickle, nothing big or huge or massive like they had in Times Square. We're going to pivot, and we're going to come back to the City Council of Plano. And we're going to talk about zoning case 2023-028. And this is the Lavon Farms land. This has been in the works since 2023. Now, Lavon Farms is a piece of land out on the east side of Plano. It is a dairy farm. And the owner, who the family has owned this, I think, since 1928, if I'm not mistaken. Well, he wants to rezone a good portion of the farm from agricultural to residential community design. And this is finally coming up for a Plano planning and zoning meeting on November 3rd, 2025. And City Council will hear the rezoning request on November 11th, 2024. 2025. So what are the developers proposing? So the developer is proposing 537 single-family detached houses. We could use that, yeah. 66 single-family attached homes, so townhome style, and 1,052 apartments. I don't know if the developer has yet to go to a bank, but he's going to have a very hard time getting financing for those apartments if he goes to the same bank as the developer in the Willow Bend Mall did, because that bank would not give financing for all the apartments that that developer wanted. Apartments are not doing well. They are losing money now. So I don't know what bank this guy is going to go to. Maybe he hasn't gone to a bank for the funding because they want a zoning change before they're going to even talk about funding with you. But he's going to have a hard time. The other interesting thing about this proposal is it will have 1,499 parking spaces. So if you are doing the math right now, you will see a problem. If this parking includes the single-family homes. Because with all of the homes, single-family, detached, attached, and the apartments, that is 1,655 units. That's not going to be enough parking if they're only going to give 1,499 parking spaces. So, not sure what the developer is thinking. How are people going to park? Also, I'm not quite sure. Maybe the developer doesn't know Plano, but I would think the family that owns the land does. Planoites don't want any more apartments. We've got apartments. We have apartments that are up for lease right now. We have more apartments than we can fill. So, if you're interested in this development, if you don't want this development, please go to the city website and under active zoning cases, and you can oppose this development. And I will put a link on our website, planospoliticalpitbull.com. To make it easy for you, you could just click the link and you can go to the zoning petitions page and you can fill out your disapproval. So far, there are 60 responses. We're going to need more than that. You can also click on the link to all the zoning cases, and you can read all the zoning cases that are currently under review. I honestly think that what we need in Plano is a 55 and up housing development like they have in Frisco Lakes. Single family, smaller, one-story detached homes for empty nesters. And they need to be affordable enough so that the person who is living in their large family house all by themselves, or maybe it's just the husband and the wife, the children are gone, they would like to sell their house and downsize. They need to be affordable enough so that they can actually downsize into the said homes. That's what we need. We don't need any more apartments. We don't need, although townhomes are nice, I don't think that is what we need, because townhomes are usually 2 stories. What we need is for homes that anyone over the age of 55 and up can go to, that are single story and smaller, maybe 2,000 square feet, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. That's what we need. So that's what I'm hoping comes from this, because as sad as it is for me to say, we're not keeping the dairy farm. So the next thing, the October 13th, 2025 City Council preliminary meeting, the council talked about recovery cost of development services. Basically, in the developing services area, 3 particular areas: the building inspections department, the engineering department, and the planning department. And the idea is that the fees that they collect for the inspection, certificate of occupancy, permits, etc., are supposed to, one would think, cover the cost of the city to hand those out and do those inspections. Well, they're not. They're not covering the costs. The city is basically underwater with that. Because the city, even though Councilwoman Chu says that they are a business, they sure as heck don't act like it. They only do a study on these numbers every 4 years. Now, first of all, I can tell you that no business studies if they are breaking even every 4 years. The guy who mows your lawn, he knows exactly how much it costs him to mow your lawn. He knows his numbers every single day. He should be able to spit them out to you verbatim. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, they know how much it costs them to make the product, how much it costs them to ship the product, how much it costs them everything to get that product from nothing to a product to the customer. And he also should know how much he's going to mark that item up so he can make a profit. The fact that the city only knows this every 4 years already is a red flag. It's mind-blowing how they're like, well, we study this every 4 years. No, you should know this. You should not need a study. Your department should know how much it costs them to do an inspection, how much it costs to issue a permit, how much it costs to get an engineer out there to do a survey. Whatever it is, you should know how much that costs you. Every single day, not every 4 years. The sad part is their goal is to only have 80% of recovery. That's their goal. So the taxpayers are supposed to pay the other 20%. So somebody wants to pull a permit to have an inspection of a water heater, and they've got to pay $50, and I got to pay the other 20%. That's not fair. Why does that work? How does that work in their mind? Why should I pay for other people's permits? A developer comes along, he wants to build a house. I got to pay 20% of his permits and his fees? That's not right on a moral level. I have to say, though, I'm torn about this because they're going to raise all of the fees because they're not at the 80% mark. They're lucky if some of these departments are at the 50% mark. Engineering, right now, they only collect 22.80% of their recovery costs from their fees. 22.8%. So they're proposing a massive increase in the engineering fees. So this is why I'm torn. Because on the one hand, I'm like, well, why should I pay? Why should I pay for somebody else's fees or part of somebody else's fees? But at the same time, if they increase these fees massively, which they're going to do anyway, but if they were to increase them to get 100% recovery cost, that's just going to mean housing is going to cost even more. And it's already really high and expensive right now. So this is what I'm torn about. I mean, on the one hand, we want lower housing costs because, like I just said, we've got potentially a new housing development coming at Lavon Farms, and I would like to see it to be for seniors or anyone who's empty nesting. But if I don't want to help pay for the developer's building permits, that's going to raise that cost tremendously. So I'm torn. I don't know what to do in this matter. I think phasing it in would be good. I mean, the engineering wants to increase it and go all the way up to 56.1% in recovery cost. Still not 100%, but it's a big increase. And they want to phase it in, and their goal is to get to 80%. Still don't like that because I don't like the fact that I would have to basically the taxpayer would have to fork over the other 80%. But at the same time, if we go up to 100%, the developer isn't going to eat that. The developer is going to put that right into the cost of the house. So what do? It's a conundrum. It definitely is. I definitely think that if we're going to give this service, people should pay their own way. But at the same time, you want a more affordable or less expensive, I should say, housing. Obviously, the city council was totally fine with this plan. So I guess to them this is not a problem, but it's a problem, I would say, for most people. Because you say you want affordable housing, you say that we need more housing for the average person, for the middle class, for the senior. But when the rubber meets the road, they don't do it. Like I said, I'm torn. Luckily, it's not my decision. So, keep you updated on that if anything else should come out of that. Well, we're up to our very important dog. Our very important dog is still Mr. Zeus. Zeus is a friendly boy who is about 5 years of age. He is a smart dog who will make a great companion for you. He is a playful dog who is never claimed by his owner. One of his eyes has a genetic defect, but it sure doesn't slow him down. He is an active and sweet boy who really wants a new home. He is so affectionate and just a love bug. So if you are interested in Zeus, please go to our website, www.planospoliticalpitbull.com, and click on the link Pitbulls Up for Adoption. That is going to be all for us today. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It does help us out with those algorithms. This is Esther for Plano's Political Pitbull, signing off.